Imagine for a moment the soft glow of an old radio in a quiet room. Your hand reaches out, turning a worn dial. You hear the crackle and hiss of static, a universe of noise between stations. Faint whispers of a song, a fragment of a voice, they all fade in and out. But the one clear channel you're searching for remains elusive. You know the melody you long to hear is playing, somewhere out there in the ether, but you just can't seem to lock onto its frequency. That static, that frustrating sound of being just slightly off the mark, that feeling of a great distance between you and the clear signal you seek, doesn't it feel a lot like life sometimes? You do everything you're supposed to do. You follow the rules, you work hard, you check all the boxes on the endless to-do list of modern existence. You strive, you push, you hustle. Yet, there's a persistent feeling of being out of tune. A subtle, or perhaps deafening, dissonance between the life you are living and the one your soul knows is possible. It's the feeling of running on a treadmill, moving your legs faster and faster, but never truly arriving anywhere new. It's the silent scream into a void, wondering why your desires, your hopes, your dreams seem to get lost in transmission, unanswered. We ask ourselves, why is there such a vast, empty space between our deepest aspirations and our daily reality? What are we doing wrong? But what if the problem isn't in what you're doing? What if the answer isn't to try harder, to run faster, or to shout louder into the void? What if the entire premise is flawed? What if you are not a beggar pleading with a distant and indifferent universe, but a powerful broadcasting station, constantly sending out a signal? A signal composed not of words, but of energy, of vibration, of frequency. What if the universe, in its infinite intelligence, doesn't actually respond to what you want, but simply and perfectly mirrors the signal you are? This is the secret whispered by ancient mystics and echoed in the halls of modern quantum physics. We are transmitters, and our life is the reflection of the broadcast. This journey, this exploration we are about to begin, is a deep dive into the most important question you could ever ask. What signal are you sending? And more importantly, this is your guide on how to find the master tuning dial inside of you, to consciously and deliberately adjust your own frequency. And finally, hear the beautiful, clear music of the life you were always meant to live. To truly grasp the signal you are sending, we must first understand the nature of the universe to which you are broadcasting. Let's begin by zooming out, way out, beyond the room you are in, past the sky, past the moon, and into the silent, velvet darkness of space. For centuries, we have viewed the cosmos as a vast, empty void, sparsely decorated with planets, stars, and galaxies. We saw ourselves as isolated beings on a lonely rock, separate from everything else. But this perception is a profound illusion. The universe is not empty space with things in it. The universe is a single, unified, and unimaginably vibrant field of energy. It is a cosmic symphony, a grand, interconnected orchestra playing a song of infinite complexity and beauty. And you, right now, are not just a listener in the audience. You are a musician in that orchestra. Everything, and this means absolutely everything, is energy in motion. The light and heat radiating from the sun, the silent pull of gravity, the electricity humming through the walls of your home. It is all energy, vibrating at different speeds or frequencies. Now, let's bring our focus closer. The chair you are sitting on, which feels so solid and stable beneath you, is not solid at all. It is a swirling cloud of atoms, and within those atoms, electrons spin around a nucleus at incredible speeds, all of it vibrating, humming with a life of its own. The air you are breathing, the food you have eaten, it is all energy. And most importantly, you, in your physical body, which feels so dense and real, are in truth a magnificent, swirling constellation of over 7 octillion atoms. That's a 7 followed by 27 zeros. Each one of those atoms is vibrating, dancing, singing its own tiny note in the grand orchestra of your being. This collective vibration, the sum total of the energy from every cell, every organ, every thought, and every emotion within you, creates a larger, coherent field of energy that extends beyond your physical body. Some ancient traditions have called this the aura. Modern science might refer to it as a bioenergetic field. But for our journey, Let's call it your personal energy signature. It is as unique to you as your fingerprint, but it is not static. It is a living, breathing, dynamic field that is constantly shifting and changing, broadcasting your unique frequency out into the cosmic symphony at every moment of every day. You don't just have an energy field. You are an energy field. You are a walking, talking, breathing broadcast of vibrational information. This is not a metaphor. It is the fundamental nature of your reality. So, why is this signature so important? Because it operates according to one of the most fundamental laws of the universe, the law of resonance, often simplified as like attracts like. This isn't a whimsical, new age concept. It is a principle of physics. Imagine you have two tuning forks, both tuned to the exact same musical note, let's say middle C. You place them on opposite sides of a room. You strike one tuning fork, and it begins to hum, to vibrate, sending out the frequency of middle C. A moment later, if you listen closely, you will discover something miraculous. The second tuning fork, the one you never touched, has also begun to vibrate, to hum with the exact same note. It has picked up the resonance from the first one. It didn't start vibrating at the note of D or F sharp. It responded only to the frequency that matched its own. Your personal energy signature works in precisely the same way. It is your tuning fork. It is constantly sending out its note into the universe. And the universe, like the second tuning fork, has no choice but to resonate with it. It arranges people, places, opportunities, and circumstances that vibrate at the same frequency you are broadcasting. This is why when you are feeling angry and frustrated, you seem to find more things to be angry and frustrated about. You spill your coffee, you get stuck in traffic, you have an argument. You are tuned to the frequency of frustration, and the universe is simply showing you a reality that matches your broadcast. Conversely, have you ever had a day where you wake up feeling joyful and grateful for no particular reason? On those days, it seems like the world conspires in your favor. The traffic lights are all green, a stranger smiles at you, you receive an unexpected compliment. You are tuned to the frequency of joy, and your reality rearranges itself to resonate with that signal. The universe is not judging you. It is not rewarding or punishing you. It is simply and impartially matching your frequency. To make this even clearer, let's consider the fascinating science of cymatics. Imagine a flat, black metal plate, onto which a fine layer of white sand is sprinkled in a random, chaotic layer. There is no order, no pattern. It is simply a mess. Now, underneath this plate, a speaker begins to play a single, pure musical tone. The plate begins to vibrate with the frequency of that sound. And then, magic happens. The chaotic sand grains begin to move, to dance. They self-organize. Before your very eyes, the sand arranges itself into a stunningly intricate, perfectly symmetrical geometric pattern. A beautiful mandala, created out of pure sound. If the sound stops, the pattern collapses back into chaos. If the pitch of the sound changes, a completely new, equally complex and beautiful pattern emerges from the sand. This is a breathtakingly powerful illustration of how the universe works. The invisible sound is your personal energy signature, your frequency. The sand is the raw material of your life, the seemingly random people, events, and circumstances. When you broadcast a consistent, coherent frequency of peace, of love, of abundance, the chaotic sand of your life has no choice but to organize itself into a pattern that reflects that beautiful sound. If your internal sound is one of chaos, of fear, of scarcity, your life will reflect that pattern of discord. You are the sound. Your life is the pattern in the sand. It cannot be any other way. This understanding shifts everything. It moves you from a position of victimhood to one of immense power and responsibility. You are not a pawn in a game you don't understand. You are the central creative force in your own life. There is no separation between the broadcaster and the broadcast. You are not just sending a signal, you are the signal. Your very state of being is a creative act. Every moment is a new opportunity to change the note you are holding, to alter the sound you are making, and thus, to reshape the beautiful, intricate pattern of your existence. This brings us to the most vital question of all. If we are this vibrating field of energy, if we are the sound that creates the pattern of our reality, then what controls the sound? What determines our pitch? If our frequency dictates our reality, what exactly dictates our frequency? The answer to that question lies within the silent, powerful, and often untamed world of your own mind. It begins with a single, simple, yet infinitely powerful thing, a thought. If your very being is the instrument and your frequency is the note you play in the cosmic symphony, then your thoughts are the architects. They are the composers who write the music, the draftsmen who draw the blueprint of your reality before a single brick is ever laid. We often dismiss our thoughts as weightless, ephemeral things, like clouds passing in the sky of our mind. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of their power. A thought is not a harmless, private event. Every single thought that you think is a real, measurable pulse of electrochemical energy. It is a spark of creation. When you have a thought, neurons in your brain fire in a specific sequence, creating pathways and releasing chemicals. These are real, physical events. Your mind is not just a passive observer, it is an active generator of energy. Think of your brain as a dense, untamed landscape, a jungle of potential. When you think a new thought for the first time, it's like taking a single step through a field of tall grass. It creates a barely perceptible path. If you never think that thought again, the grass will spring back, and the path will vanish. But if you think that same thought again, and again, and again, you are walking that same path over and over. The faint trail becomes a well-worn track. If you persist, that track becomes a dirt road, and eventually, a paved, 6-lane superhighway. This is the science of neuroplasticity. Your brain is not fixed or static. It is constantly being rewired by the thoughts you choose to entertain. These thought highways become your default settings, your automatic reactions, your beliefs. And these dominant thought patterns, these mental superhighways, are what produce your default vibrational state. If your mental highways are paved with worry, self-doubt, and criticism, then that is the frequency you will broadcast automatically, without even trying. Your reality will then, effortlessly, reflect a world full of things to worry about. You have, quite literally, hardwired yourself for that experience. The power of thought extends even into the strange and wondrous world of quantum physics. At the subatomic level, the very building blocks of our reality behave in ways that defy common sense. Before it is measured, a particle like an electron doesn't exist in one single place. It exists as a wave of potential, a cloud of all possibilities at once. It is everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. But the moment a conscious observer decides to look, to measure it, something miraculous occurs. The wave of all possibilities collapses, and the electron solidifies into a single, definite particle in one specific location. This is called the observer effect. Think about the staggering implication. The simple, conscious act of looking, of paying attention, literally influences the fabric of reality, forcing potential to become actual. Now, if the mere act of observation can shape the fundamental building blocks of the universe, imagine the creative power of your sustained, focused thought. Your attention is not passive. It is a creative force. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and you begin to collapse the waves of potential in your own life into a definite, experienced reality. However, we must make a critical distinction. There are the thoughts we consciously choose, and then there is the relentless, unconscious mental chatter that often runs our lives. For many of us, our mind is like a rogue radio station that we never learned how to turn off. It plays a continuous loop of old songs from the past, fearful news reports about the future, commercials telling us we aren't good enough, and static-filled commentary from critics we internalized long ago. This is the source of so much of our low-frequency broadcast. It's the autopilot mode, built from all those neural highways we created unconsciously. Living this way is like trying to build your dream home while a rogue demolition crew is working on the same site, tearing things down as you build. Conscious thought, on the other hand, is the moment you walk over to that radio, take hold of the dial, and deliberately choose the station. It is the act of becoming the architect, not just a resident in a house built by random, inherited blueprints. It is the decision to say, "This thought does not serve me," and to choose another. The vast majority of humanity lives at the mercy of the rogue radio station, and so their lives feel like an accident. The beginning of all true change is to realize you are the DJ, you are the architect. Let this be illustrated by a timeless story. Two men were condemned to the same prison cell. The conditions were identical: the same cold stone walls, the same meager rations, the same small, barred window high up on the wall. The first prisoner was consumed by despair. Every day, he would stand on his toes, look down through the bars, and see nothing but the muddy, grimy prison yard below. His thoughts were a constant stream of bitterness, regret, and hopelessness. He thought of his captors with hatred, of his past with sorrow, and of his future with dread. And so, his entire world, his entire reality, became mud. The second prisoner, in the very same cell, made a different choice. Each day, he too would stand on his toes and look through the very same bars. But instead of looking down, he chose to look up. He saw the vast, open sky. He watched the clouds drift by like ships on a blue ocean. At night, he gazed at the silver sliver of the moon and the endless, glittering tapestry of the stars. His thoughts were of beauty, of freedom, of a universe so much larger than his confinement. And so, his world, his reality, became the stars. The circumstances were identical. The prison walls were equally real for both men. But their experience of that reality was worlds apart. The true prison was not the stone and steel around them. The true prison, or the true gateway to freedom, was the quality of their thoughts. They were both broadcasting a signal from that cell. One broadcast the frequency of mud. The other broadcast the frequency of the stars. This is the power you hold in every moment. You are always choosing where to direct your gaze, which thoughts to build your highways with. A thought, then, is the blueprint. It is the silent, architectural drawing of a possible reality. But a blueprint, no matter how detailed or beautiful, is just lines on a paper. It has no substance on its own. To bring that drawing to life, to pour the foundation and raise the walls of that structure in your physical world, the blueprint requires power. It needs a current to run through it, an energy that will activate it and command the universe to take notice. That animating force, that powerful current, is the very language that the universe understands above all others. It is the vibrant, colorful, and potent energy of feeling. It is emotion. If thought is the architect's blueprint, then emotion is the master builder. It is the raw, potent energy that takes the silent, two-dimensional drawing of a thought and begins to construct it in the three-dimensional reality of your life. You can spend all day thinking positive thoughts, but if you do not feel them, you are like an architect with a brilliant design but no construction crew, no materials, and no power. The universe does not primarily respond to the dry logic of your mind. It responds to the vibrant, resonant passion of your heart. Emotion is its native tongue. It is the language of frequency, and it is the only language that the cosmos understands without any need for translation. Think of your emotional state as the most accurate and immediate feedback system you possess. It is your built-in, infallible vibrational indicator. When you feel emotions like joy, love, excitement, or peace, it is a signal, a flashing green light on your inner dashboard, telling you that the frequency you are broadcasting is high and in alignment with your soul's desires. It's a confirmation that you are in a state of allowing, resonating with well-being and creation. Conversely, when you experience emotions like fear, anger, jealousy, or sadness, it is not a punishment. It is not a sign that you are bad or broken. It is simply another signal, a red warning light, informing you that you are currently vibrating at a frequency that is out of alignment with what you truly want. Your negative emotions are a merciful gift from your inner guidance system, lovingly telling you that your current thought patterns are creating a vibration that will attract more unwanted circumstances. They are a call to action, an invitation to gently change the thought, to shift the perspective, and thus to change the broadcast. The profound power of emotion is not just philosophical, it is scientifically measurable. Research from institutions like the HeartMath Institute has revealed a stunning truth. The heart is the most powerful electromagnetic generator in the human body. The electrical field produced by the heart is approximately 60 times greater in amplitude than the field generated by the brain's electrical activity. And its magnetic field is an astonishing 5,000 times stronger than the brain's. Let that sink in. The energetic field radiating from your heart, the seat of your emotions, is thousands of times more powerful and expansive than the one radiating from your brain, the seat of your thoughts. When you are feeling a powerful emotion, you are literally broadcasting that frequency from your heart's powerful transmitter, sending a clear, loud signal into the quantum field. This is why you cannot fool the universe. You can repeat a positive affirmation 1,000 times, but if your heart is broadcasting a frequency of doubt and fear, the universe will always respond to the stronger signal, the truth of your feeling state. Feeling is the secret. We can visualize our emotions as rungs on a vibrational ladder, an emotional guidance scale. At the very bottom, in the densest, slowest vibrations, we find feelings of powerlessness, fear, grief, and despair. These are the states of ultimate disconnection. As we begin to climb the ladder, we move through insecurity, blame, and anger. While anger may seem negative, it is vibrationally higher than despair because it contains more energy, more power to create change. Further up the ladder, we find contentment, hopefulness, and optimism. These are wonderful places to be, where you begin to feel the tide turning in your favor. And at the very top of the ladder, in the highest, fastest, and most creative frequencies, we find joy, passion, empowerment, freedom, and unconditional love. Gratitude is one of the highest rungs of all, because to be truly grateful is to feel, in the present moment, the joy of having already received. The work is not to try and leap from the bottom rung of despair to the top rung of joy in a single bound. The work is simply to reach for the next feeling that feels slightly better. From a state of worry, can you find a thought that brings you a feeling of hope? From a state of blame, can you find a thought that leads to frustration, and then to a feeling of simple desire? It is a gentle, compassionate process of climbing, rung by rung, deliberately choosing thoughts that generate better feeling emotions. The key to mastering this is to stop judging your emotions and start using them as the intelligent compass they are. They are not you, they are messengers passing through you, delivering vital information about your current point of attraction. When a difficult emotion arises, instead of suppressing it, or distracting yourself from it, or letting it consume you, try a new approach. Pause. Acknowledge it without judgment. Say to yourself, I am feeling anger right now. This is interesting. This feeling is a messenger. What thoughts am I thinking that are creating this feeling? What am I broadcasting in this moment? By doing this, you disarm the emotion. You take away its power over you and reclaim your own power as the conscious creator. You transform your emotions from tyrannical masters into trusted advisors. Consider the story of a brilliant chef trying to create a revolutionary new dish. She doesn't just think about it logically, combining ingredients based on a textbook. No, a master chef feels their way to a masterpiece. They hold a strawberry in their hand and don't just think, sweet, red fruit. They imagine the feeling of its flavor combined with the creamy feeling of a particular cheese, the sharp feeling of a balsamic glaze. They are running simulations in their heart, in their senses, feeling for the resonance, the harmony, the click of when it feels right. They follow the path of joy and excitement. If an ingredient feels off or heavy, they discard it, not because of logic, but because of feeling. Their success comes from trusting the emotional feedback, the language of their passion. This is how all true creation works. We feel our way into new realities. We fall in love with the feeling of the desired outcome long before it manifests. That love, that passion, that emotional energy is the irresistible magnetic force that pulls the blueprint of our thoughts into physical form. So now we understand the divine partnership. Our thoughts create the structure, the blueprint. Our emotions provide the power, the energy, the living force that builds the structure. Together, they create our personal energy signature, our broadcast to the universe. We have the instruction manual. But for most of us, we are so deeply lost in the storm of our daily thoughts and feelings that we can't even tell what we are broadcasting. We are so caught up in the river that we can't see where it's flowing. Before we can consciously change our frequency, we must first learn how to observe it. We need to find a way to step out of the chaotic river of unconscious thought and emotion and stand peacefully on the bank, becoming the silent watcher of its current. This fundamental practice of stepping back, of creating a space of pure awareness, is the master key to everything that follows. It is the foundation of all self-mastery, and it has a name. It is the practice of mindfulness. Imagine for your entire life, you have been living on a small raft, carried along by the currents of a vast and powerful river. Your head is constantly turned upstream, obsessing over the rocks you hit yesterday, replaying conversations, lost in the swirling eddies of regret and memory. Or, your gaze is fixed downstream, anxiously trying to see around the next bend, consumed by worry about the waterfalls and rapids that may lie ahead. Caught between a past you cannot change and a future that does not exist. You are never truly where you are. You are never on the raft. This is the human condition for most of us. This is a life lived on autopilot. This autopilot mode is the state of unconsciousness in which we spend the majority of our waking lives. It's the experience of driving your regular route to work and arriving with no memory of the journey. It's eating a delicious meal while your eyes are glued to a screen, not tasting a single bite. It's having a conversation with a loved one while your mind is a million miles away, composing a mental shopping list or replaying an argument. This is not a personal failing. It is a feature of the incredible efficiency of the human brain. To conserve energy, the brain creates habits and programs for everything we do repeatedly. But neuroscience suggests that for the average person, these subconscious programs are running the show up to 95% of the time. This means that for 95% of your day, you are not consciously creating your life. You are reliving your past. You are automatically thinking the thoughts, feeling the emotions, and broadcasting the same old frequencies that you did yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. It is the ultimate state of being a passenger in your own life. The antidote to this trance-like state, the way we take our hands back on the wheel, is a practice of profound simplicity and power. It is called mindfulness. Now, there is a great misconception that mindfulness means emptying your mind or stopping your thoughts. This is impossible, and trying to do so only leads to frustration. Mindfulness is not about stopping the river of thought. It is the gentle, compassionate act of becoming aware that you are on the raft. It is the simple practice of bringing your attention, intentionally and without judgment, to the present moment. That's it. You can anchor your attention to the physical sensation of your breath flowing in and out. You can bring your awareness to the feeling of your feet planted firmly on the ground. You can simply open your senses and notice the sounds in the room, the quality of the light, the temperature of the air on your skin. Each time your mind wanders off into the past or the future, which it will, you gently and kindly, without any criticism, guide it back to this present moment. The true magic of mindfulness lies in the space it creates. The great psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Point 1. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. For a life on autopilot, there is no space. A driver cuts you off in traffic, stimulus, and instantly, anger and adrenaline flood your system, reaction. Your boss criticizes you, stimulus, and immediately, a wave of shame and defensiveness washes over you, reaction. Mindfulness inserts a sacred pause into this equation. The driver cuts you off. In that split second, you notice the thought, that idiot, arise in your mind. You notice the heat of anger beginning to build in your chest. You notice the impulse to honk your horn. But because you are mindful, you are not the anger. You are not the thought. You are the silent, spacious awareness observing the anger and the thought. And in that space, in that tiny gap of awareness, you have a choice. You can choose to follow the old neural highway of rage, or you can choose another path. You can take a breath. You can choose peace. You can choose to send them compassion, wondering if they are rushing to a hospital. In that sacred pause lies your power to consciously choose your frequency. rather than having it chosen for you by old programming. This power is only ever available to you in one place, the present moment. The past is nothing more than a memory trace in your brain, a ghost. The future is nothing more than a projection of your mind, a fantasy. Neither is real. The only place where life is actually happening, the only point in time where you can feel, create, and change your frequency is right now. You cannot change the vibration you sent out yesterday. You cannot pre-program the vibration you will send out tomorrow. You can only choose your frequency in the eternal now. Every breath is a new beginning. Every moment is a fresh opportunity to tune your dial, to reset your signal. When you fully grasp this, life is no longer a long, daunting sentence to be served, but a series of precious, powerful moments, each one holding the potential for a total transformation. There is a timeless Zen story that illustrates this perfectly. A young, eager student approached an old Zen master, seeking the secret to enlightenment. "Master," he asked, "what is the profound practice that leads to liberation?" The master looked at him with clear, calm eyes and replied, "When I am hungry, I eat. When I am tired, I sleep." The student was bewildered. "But master," he protested, "isn't that what everyone does?" The old monk smiled gently. "No," he said, "when most people eat, their minds are thinking of 1,000 other things. They are not tasting their food. When most people are tired and try to sleep, their minds are wrestling with the problems of tomorrow. Because they are never fully where they are never truly doing what they are doing. That is why they are not liberated." The deepest wisdom is not found in complex rituals, but in the simple, profound act of being fully present with your life as it unfolds. This power of presence, this ability to stand on the riverbank of your own mind, is the foundational skill. It allows you to become aware of the frequency you are broadcasting in any given moment. It gives you the freedom to choose. But once you have become aware, once you realize your current frequency is one of worry or frustration, you need a powerful tool to actively and deliberately change it. Once you have stepped onto the bank, you gain the ability to introduce something new into the water, something that can change its very quality. The first and most powerful of these tools, a practice so potent it can instantly alter your inner chemistry and begin to raise your vibration, is a frequency that the universe adores above all others. It is the divine, resonant frequency of gratitude. Of all the frequencies you can broadcast into the universe, of all the notes you can play in the cosmic symphony, gratitude is perhaps the master key. It is the passcode to the heart of the cosmos, a frequency so pure and powerful that it can override almost any static of fear or lack. We have been taught to think of gratitude as a polite courtesy, a simple thank you after we have received something. But this is a shallow understanding of a profound cosmic law. True gratitude is not a reaction, it is a creative force. It is not a sentiment, it is a state of being, and it is the single fastest way to change your vibrational point of attraction. Let's examine the energetic mechanics of this. When you are in a state of wanting, of desiring something you do not have, you are often, unintentionally, broadcasting the frequency of its absence. The thought, "I need more money," is usually accompanied by the feeling of not having enough money. The desire, "I want to find a loving partner," is often broadcast on the frequency of loneliness. You are, in essence, shouting into the universe, "I lack this. This is missing from my life." The universe, being an impartial and obedient mirror, simply hears the dominant vibration of lack and missing, and diligently reflects back to you more circumstances that perpetuate that feeling of lack. It is a frustrating, self-perpetuating cycle. Gratitude shatters this cycle. It is a complete and total reversal of the energetic current. When you feel a moment of genuine, heartfelt gratitude, you are broadcasting the most powerful signal of abundance possible. The signal of, "I have already received." When you close your eyes and feel deep appreciation for the roof over your head, you are not vibrating at the frequency of wanting a bigger house. You are vibrating at the frequency of, "I am sheltered, I am safe, I have enough." When you savor a warm cup of coffee and feel thankful for its comforting presence, you are broadcasting the frequency of, "I have comfort, I have warmth, I have simple pleasures." You are sending out a powerful, unambiguous signal that your life is already full. The universe hears this clear broadcast of having and fullness, and according to its immutable law of like attracts like, it has no choice but to respond. It says, this being is in a state of reception. They are tuned to the frequency of abundance. Let us send them more things, more people, more experiences that match this beautiful state of receiving. Gratitude is the ultimate declaration of faith. It is telling the universe that you trust it so completely that you can see the wealth in your life even before all of it has arrived. This is why we must draw a clear line between two very different types of gratitude: transactional gratitude and unconditional gratitude. Transactional gratitude is conditional. It is a bargain we try to strike with the universe. I will be grateful when I get the job. I will feel thankful when I lose the weight. I'll be happy when my problems are solved. This approach holds your high frequency hostage to future events. You are essentially telling the universe, my frequency is one of lack right now, and I will only change it if you give me what I want first. But the universe cannot respond to your future intentions. It can only respond to your present vibration. Unconditional gratitude is the game changer. It is the courageous act of finding things to be thankful for right now, in this very moment, regardless of your external circumstances. It is a gratitude that is not dependent on anything changing. It is finding appreciation for the simple miracle of your own breath, flowing in and out, a constant rhythm of life. It is feeling thankful for the gift of sight that allows you to see the color of the sky. It is gratitude for the existence of music, for the memory of a beautiful day, for the kindness of a stranger. This is broadcasting abundance from what is, not waiting for what if. This is how you become a vibrational match for miracles. Cultivating this state is a practice, a muscle you can strengthen. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through a gratitude journal. Each day, perhaps in the morning to set your frequency, or at night to reflect, take a few moments to write down 3 to 5 specific things for which you are genuinely grateful. Don't just list them mechanically. As you write, I am grateful for the comforting phone call with my friend today. Pause, close your eyes, and relive the feeling of that comfort. Feel the warmth and connection in your heart. The power is not in the words on the page, but in the feeling you generate within your being. Another potent practice is to go on gratitude rampages throughout your day. While you are doing mundane tasks, like washing dishes, consciously start looking for things to appreciate. I am so grateful for this running water. I am grateful for the soap that cleans these plates. I am grateful for the meal I just enjoyed. This actively retrains your brain, which is often wired to scan for threats and problems, to start scanning for blessings. It becomes a scavenger hunt for joy, and the more you look for it, the more you find. Consider the story of a woman who had lost everything. She found herself cold, alone, and with nothing to her name but a single, stale crust of bread. It would have been easy to fall into despair, to curse her fate. But instead, she held the piece of bread in her hands, closed her eyes, and let a feeling of profound gratitude wash over her. She didn't thank the universe for the bread she wished she had, but for the bread she held. Thank you, she whispered, her heart full. Thank you for this nourishment. Thank you for this body that can still receive it. Thank you for this moment of life. In that instant, she shifted her frequency from the deepest lack to the purest abundance. She broadcast a signal of having, of being provided for, and that pure, unconditional signal began a subtle chain reaction. Her state of being, now open and receptive, allowed her to notice an opportunity she would have otherwise missed. It led to an act of kindness from a stranger, which led to a warm meal, which led to a safe place to sleep. Her life began to change, not because the world gave her something to be grateful for, but because she gave the world her gratitude first. The power was never in the bread, it was in the frequency she chose. Gratitude, then, is the divine frequency that anchors you in the abundance of your present moment. It magnifies the good that is already there and magnetically draws more of it to you. But what about the specific, cherished dreams that you hold in your heart that have not yet manifested? How do you tune into the frequency of a reality you have never physically experienced? For this, you need to use the power of your mind in a new, more focused way. Gratitude makes you a master of appreciating what is. To become a master of creating what will be, you must learn the sacred technology of the imagination. You must learn the art of visualization. Of all the magnificent gifts you were given upon entering this world, perhaps the most misunderstood and underutilized is the power of your own imagination. We have been taught to see imagination as a frivolous faculty, a realm for children's fairy tales and idle daydreams, a means of escaping reality. But the truth is the exact opposite. Your imagination is not an escape from reality. It is the very workshop where reality is forged. It is the divine rehearsal studio, the quantum simulator within your mind, where you can practice the frequency of your future long before it takes the stage of your life. It is the art of visualization. The secret to why this works lies in the intricate wiring of your own brain. From a neurological perspective, your brain does not make a strong distinction between a vividly imagined experience and an experience that is physically happening. When you close your eyes and imagine, with intense detail, the act of biting into a sharp, juicy, yellow lemon, something remarkable occurs. Your brain reacts as if you are actually doing it. The same neural pathways that would fire if a real lemon were in your hand begin to light up. Your mouth may begin to water. Your lips may pounce and pucker in response to the imagined sourness. Your body responds to the image in your mind as if it were a physical reality. This is not magic, it is biology. Visualization is a way of installing the neural hardware of your desired future into the wetware of your brain. Today, you are, quite literally, preparing your mind and body to accept a new reality by rehearsing it first on the inner planes. However, the mental pictures alone are not the most potent part of the process. The pictures are the blueprint, but as we learned, it is emotion that provides the power. The ultimate goal of visualization is not just to see what you want, but to feel what you want. The purpose of imagining your dream home is not just to see the color of the walls, but to generate the feeling of safety, peace, and belonging that the home represents. The purpose of visualizing a healthy, vibrant body is to feel the energy, the vitality, the freedom of movement within you right now. The universe does not respond to the picture of a check with $1 million written on it. It responds to the frequency of freedom, security, and joyous relief that the check would give you. The picture helps you generate the feeling, and the feeling is the magnetic, vibrational signal that draws the experience to you. Feeling is the secret. To practice this art effectively, there are a few simple but crucial steps. First, you must relax. Find a quiet, comfortable space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and take several deep, slow breaths. Release the tension of the day. You want to shift your brainwaves from the active beta state of normal waking consciousness to the calmer, more receptive alpha state. This is the gateway to the subconscious mind. Second, engage all of your senses to make the scene as real as possible. Don't just see your goal. Step inside the picture. What do you see in vivid detail? What sounds do you hear? Are people congratulating you? Is there music playing? What do you smell? The salt of the ocean air, the scent of fresh paint on your new office wall. What can you physically feel? The texture of a new suit, the warmth of a loving hand in yours, the solid weight of an award in your hand. Make it a multi-sensory experience. Third, and most importantly, focus on the feeling of the end result. Feel the emotion as if your desire is already a completed fact. Feel the thrill, the gratitude, the peace, the love. Let this feeling swell in your chest and radiate throughout your entire body. Bathe every cell in the frequency of your fulfilled desire. Finally, after a few minutes of soaking in this feeling, you must release it. Let it go with a feeling of deep trust, like placing an order at a cosmic restaurant. You don't follow the waiter into the kitchen to make sure they're making your meal. You trust that it is being prepared and will be delivered at the perfect time. This is fundamentally different from idle daydreaming. Daydreaming is often passive, unfocused, and tinged with a feeling of longing, or it would be nice if, which is a frequency of lack. Intentional visualization is an active, focused, deliberate act of creation. It is done with purpose and power. One is an escape from the present moment. The other is the creation of a new present moment on the inside. Lest you think this is mere fantasy, Consider the world's highest performing individuals. Olympic athletes, world-class musicians, and champion golfers have been using this as a core part of their training for decades. They call it mental rehearsal. A downhill skier at the top of a mountain will close her eyes and mentally ski the entire course, seeing every gate, feeling every turn in her muscles, hearing the sound of the wind, and feeling the triumphant joy of crossing the finish line with the fastest time. By the time she actually pushes off, her mind and body have already run and won the race hundreds of times. A concert pianist doesn't just practice the notes with his fingers. He rehearses the entire performance in his mind, feeling the emotion of the music, seeing the rapt faces in the audience. They are not hoping to succeed. They are running a program that has already been perfected on the inside. They prove, at the highest levels of human achievement, that what is held vividly in the mind and felt deeply in the heart has a powerful tendency to manifest in the world. Visualization, then, is a dedicated, powerful workout for your frequency. It is the time you set aside to go to the energetic gym and lift the heavy weights of creation. But just as with physical fitness, what you do in the hours between your workouts is just as important. The silent conversations you have with yourself, the constant stream of words flowing through the background of your mind, are the energetic food you consume all day long. These words, these quiet pronouncements you make about yourself and your world, are a form of constant, low-grade visualization. And whether you realize it or not, they are affirmations, constantly shaping your vibrational reality. Of all the creative forces at your disposal, the most constant, the most pervasive, and the one you use every single moment, is the power of your word. Every word you speak, every sentence you think, is a command. It is a spell being cast into the resonant field of the universe, shaping the energy both within you and around you. The question is never whether you are using affirmations, you are using them constantly. The only question is, what reality are you affirming? Are you consciously speaking your desires into existence, or are you unconsciously cursing yourself with your own vocabulary? For most of us, our self-talk is a relentless stream of negative affirmations. We don't even notice we're doing it. After making a mistake, the thought, "I'm so stupid," flashes through the mind. When faced with a challenge, we sigh and say, "I can never catch a break." When we feel a bit of fatigue, we declare to ourselves or others, "I'm always so tired." Each of these statements is a command that your subconscious mind takes as a literal truth. Your subconscious is a loyal and powerful servant, but it has no sense of humor or irony. When you tell it, "I'm always tired," it doesn't argue. It diligently goes to work, adjusting your body's chemistry and energy levels to make that statement true. When you affirm, "Good things just don't happen for people like me," your subconscious puts on a filter, ensuring you overlook opportunities and focus only on the evidence that proves your statement correct. Complaining is one of the most powerful forms of negative affirmation. It is, in essence, a prayer for more of what you don't want. Every time you complain about your lack of money, you are powerfully affirming, "I am poor." Every time you complain about your loneliness, you are casting a powerful spell of, "I am alone." The antidote to this unconscious self-sabotage is the practice of conscious affirmation. This is the deliberate act of choosing words and statements that align with the reality you wish to create. It is about seizing the microphone of your mind and broadcasting a new message, a new truth. But to do this effectively, we must understand the rules of this sacred language. First, affirmations must be in the present tense. Your subconscious mind and the universe operate only in the eternal now. Saying, "I will be confident and successful," is a command that keeps confidence and success forever in the future, always just out of reach. You must claim it now. "I am confident and successful." Feel the difference. One is a hopeful wish, the other is a powerful declaration of being. Second, your affirmations must be positive. The subconscious mind struggles to process negatives. If you affirm, "I don't want to be sick anymore," the dominant words your mind latches onto are "sick" and "anymore." You are still focused on the illness. Instead, you must state what you do want. "My body is healthy, vibrant, and full of energy." Frame your desire in the language of its presence, not its absence. Third, make it personal and emotional. An affirmation repeated like a robot has very little power. You must connect with it. When you look in the mirror and say, "I deeply and completely love and accept myself," you must strive to feel a flicker of that love. When you declare, "I am a magnet for creative opportunities and abundance," feel the exciting pull of that magnetism. This is why affirmations become supercharged when combined with visualization. See the reality, speak the affirmation, and most importantly, feel the corresponding emotion. This creates a perfectly coherent, powerful, and irresistible signal to the universe. The literal, physical power of words and intention has been demonstrated in the most beautiful and astonishing way by the experiments of the late Dr. Masaru Emoto. He took samples of ordinary water from the same source. He then exposed these different samples to various influences. To one vial of water, he taped the words love and gratitude. To another, he taped the words "You make me sick," "I will kill you." He had people project feelings of love towards one sample and feelings of hate towards another. He played beautiful classical music to one and discordant heavy metal music to another. Afterwards, he would flash freeze droplets from each sample and photograph the resulting ice crystals under a microscope. The results were miraculous and world-changing. The water that was exposed to the words and feelings of love, gratitude, and beauty formed breathtakingly intricate, symmetrical, and harmonious crystals, like the most perfect snowflakes you have ever seen. The water that had been exposed to words and feelings of hate, fear, and discord formed ugly, chaotic, distorted, and incomplete shapes. Some failed to crystallize at all, remaining murky and dead. The evidence was undeniable. Human consciousness, expressed through words and emotions, had the power to physically restructure the molecules of water. Now, consider this for a moment. Your body, every organ, every tissue, every single cell, is composed of approximately 70% water. If your words can do that to a glass of water, imagine what the words you speak to yourself, day in and day out, are doing to the very water that makes up your being. With your self-talk, are you creating beautiful, harmonious crystals within you, or are you creating chaos and discord? The choice is yours in every moment. You now possess a formidable toolkit for creation. You have the compass of mindfulness to know where you are. You have the high-frequency engine of gratitude. You have the architectural blueprint of visualization. And now you have the creative language of affirmation. It might seem like you have everything you need to build the life of your dreams. But what happens when you try to build, and an invisible force seems to keep tearing your structure down? What happens when you stand in front of the mirror and affirm, "I am worthy and deserving of all good things"? But a deeper, quieter, and more powerful voice from within whispers back, "No, you're not." This is the experience that causes so many to give up, believing these tools don't work. They do work. The issue is that we are not building on an empty plot of land. We are building on ground that has old, deep, and often invisible foundations from a previous structure. To build the new, we must first excavate and deal with the old. We must face the shadow frequencies, the limiting beliefs that operate beneath the surface of our conscious awareness. This journey into frequency and creation is exhilarating. It is empowering to know that you have tools like gratitude and visualization to build a new reality. But many of us find that when we begin this work, we encounter a powerful, invisible resistance. It feels like driving a car with the accelerator pushed to the floor, but the emergency brake is still on. You are using all your conscious will, but something is holding you back, dragging you down. That emergency brake, that heavy anchor pulling against the ship of your desires, is your subconscious programming. It is the vast, hidden network of your limiting beliefs. A limiting belief is a story you learned so long ago that you forgot it was just a story, and you started treating it as an undeniable law of the universe. These beliefs are the invisible walls of the prison you have mistaken for your reality. They were almost all formed in the first 7 years of your life. During this period, a child's brain operates primarily in a theta wave state, which is a state of hypnosis, of super learning. As a child, you were a sponge, absorbing the beliefs, habits, and attitudes of your parents, your teachers, and the society around you without any conscious filter. If you grew up hearing, "Money doesn't grow on trees," Or, you have to work hard and struggle for every penny. You didn't question it. You downloaded it as the operating software for how money works. If you were constantly told, don't get your hopes up, you'll only be disappointed, you accepted that desire is dangerous. If you made a mistake and were shamed for it, you learned the belief, it is not safe for me to try new things and fail. These beliefs, like, I'm not good enough, I am unlovable, or the world is a scary place, became the silent, foundational pillars of your personality. These beliefs don't just influence your thoughts, they actively filter your perception of reality. Your belief system acts like a pair of colored glasses. If you have a core subconscious belief that, I am not worthy of love, you will put on your unworthy glasses. When someone is kind to you, you'll dismiss it as them just being polite. When a potential partner shows interest, your filter will immediately scan for their flaws and predict how they will eventually reject you. If someone genuinely loves you, your system may even create drama to push them away, because their presence contradicts your core belief, creating an intolerable cognitive dissonance. You cannot see the evidence of your worthiness because your belief system literally renders it invisible. You can affirm, I am worthy, all day long, but if the deep-seated program is running a counter-frequency of, I am unworthy, you are sending a mixed, chaotic signal, and the older, more powerful program will almost always win. So how do we find these invisible saboteurs? The first step is to look at your life with radical honesty. Your life is the printout of your subconscious programs. Look at the areas where you feel the most stuck, where the same negative patterns repeat over and over again. Is it in your finances, your relationships, your health? The recurring pattern is a bright, flashing arrow pointing directly to the underlying belief. If you constantly find yourself in debt no matter how much you earn, the belief may be, I don't deserve to be wealthy, or rich people are greedy. If you repeatedly attract emotionally unavailable partners, the belief may be, I must earn love, or I am destined to be alone. A powerful technique for digging down to the root is called the 5 whys. Start with a problem. For example, I want to ask for a promotion, but I'm afraid to. Then, ask why, like a persistent child. 1. Why are you afraid? Because I might get rejected. 2. Why are you afraid of rejection? Because it would feel humiliating. 3. Why would it feel humiliating? Because it would prove I'm not good enough for the job. 4. Why do you believe you're not good enough? Because deep down, I feel like a fraud. Like I don't really know what I'm doing. 5. Why do you feel like a fraud? Because I remember my teacher in the 3rd grade telling me I wasn't as smart as the other kids. Suddenly, you have bypassed the surface level fear and arrived at the root. A belief installed in your childhood that you are not intelligent. That is the true source of the resistance. The story of the circus elephant perfectly illustrates this self-imposed prison. A man visiting a circus was astonished to see a massive, powerful elephant, capable of uprooting a tree, standing peacefully, held in place by nothing more than a small, flimsy rope tied to a wooden stake in the ground. The man asked the trainer why this magnificent beast didn't simply take one step and pull itself free. The trainer replied, when this elephant was a baby, we used this exact same size of rope to tie him to the stake. At that age, he wasn't strong enough to break it. He pulled and he struggled for days, but he couldn't get free. Eventually, he learned that the rope was stronger than he was, and he stopped trying. Now, the trainer said, even though he has the strength of 10 men, the belief that the rope can hold him is still locked in his mind. The rope is not holding him prisoner, his memory is. We are all that elephant. We are all tethered by the flimsy ropes of outdated beliefs we accepted when we were small and seemingly helpless. The amazing truth is that the moment you bring a subconscious belief into the light of your conscious awareness, it begins to lose its power over you. The elephant's freedom begins the moment he dares to question the rope. Your freedom begins the moment you can look at a belief like, I'm not good enough, and ask, with genuine curiosity, is that really true? Is this opinion, which I formed based on the limited understanding of a 7-year-old, a law I choose to live by today? But this work of excavation is not always a clean, intellectual process. When you start to pull on the rope of a limiting belief, you will often find that it is attached to an old emotional wound. The belief that I am unlovable is likely tethered to a painful memory of rejection. The belief that it's not safe to be me is probably anchored in a moment when your vulnerability was met with criticism or ridicule. To truly free yourself from the rope, it is not enough to simply recognize it. You must also gently and compassionately tend to the wound that the rope has chafed into your skin for all these years. This is the sacred and absolutely necessary work of healing. This work of uncovering our limiting beliefs is the work of a courageous archaeologist of the soul. But as you dig, you will find that these beliefs are not just abstract ideas. They are energetic imprints, often formed in moments of great emotional intensity. Every time in your life you experienced pain, fear, or rejection that you could not fully process, a small part of your life force energy became frozen in that moment. These pockets of trapped energy, like resentment, grief, regret, and anger, become dense, heavy knots in your energy field, constantly broadcasting a low, discordant frequency. To truly raise your vibration, you cannot just build a new house on top of this toxic landfill. You must undertake the sacred work of remediation. This is the alchemy of healing. Let us first speak of the most corrosive of these trapped energies: resentment. There is a profound saying that holding on to resentment is like drinking poison yourself and waiting for the other person to die. This is an energetic and biological truth. The anger, the bitterness, the righteous indignation, the endless replaying of the story of how you were wrong, these are all potent, low-frequency emotions. When you harbor resentment, you are the one marinating your own cells in the stress hormones of cortisol and adrenaline. You are the one disrupting your own peace, clouding your own judgment, and polluting your own vibrational signal. The other person may be thousands of miles away, living their life completely oblivious and unaffected, but you, in your own heart, are diligently drinking the poison every single day. The first step to healing is the radical recognition that the only person being punished by your resentment is you. This leads us to the most misunderstood and resisted concept in all of personal growth: forgiveness. For many of us, the word itself brings up a feeling of injustice. We think forgiveness means what happened was okay, that it lets the other person off the hook, that it invalidates our pain, or that it requires us to reconcile with someone who hurt us. This is a complete misunderstanding of what true forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It is a profound act of self-love and liberation for you. Forgiveness does not, in any way, condone the harmful action. It simply means you are making a conscious decision to no longer allow that action to have power over your present moment frequency. Imagine the past event is a heavy, burning coal that someone threw at you. You can choose to hold on to it, burning your own hands and searing your own soul, or you can choose to open your hand and let it drop. Forgiveness is letting the coal drop. It is cutting the energetic cord that binds you to the pain of the past so that you can finally be free. Healing is also not about forgetting. A scar may always remain as a testament to what you survived, but the difference between a wound and a scar is that a scar no longer hurts to the touch. Healing is the alchemical process of stripping the emotional charge from a memory. Right now, the memory of a past trauma may be like a movie you are forced to watch in which you are the main character, feeling all the pain, fear, and helplessness over and over again. A healed memory is like watching that same story as an old, black and white film on a distant screen. You can acknowledge that it happened, you can see the events, but it no longer triggers a visceral, painful reaction in your body. It has become a part of your history, but it is no longer the dictator of your present. This healing can be approached through many gentle and powerful practices. One is the act of therapeutic writing. You can write a letter to the person or situation that caused you pain, a letter that you will never send. On this paper, you give yourself permission to pour out every ounce of uncensored rage, grief, and pain. Say everything you never got to say. Then, in a safe and sacred ritual, you can burn the letter, watching the smoke rise, and as it does, visualize all that heavy, toxic energy leaving your body and being transmuted into neutral light by the fire. You can also explore powerful modalities like Reiki or the emotional freedom techniques known as tapping, which are specifically designed to help the body release these trapped energetic knots. And you can practice intentional forgiveness, a quiet, internal process of bringing the person to mind, acknowledging the pain they caused, and saying, from your heart, for my own peace, for my own freedom, I release you. I forgive you. I set myself free. This practice must, most importantly, be extended to yourself for any past mistakes or regrets you carry. Self-forgiveness is a vital part of this journey. There is a beautiful Buddhist parable that captures the essence of this work. Two Zen monks, one senior and one junior, were traveling together. They came to a raging river where a beautiful young woman in a silken dress stood, afraid to cross for fear of ruining her clothes and being swept away. The junior monk, strictly adhering to his vows not to touch a woman, turned his head away in pious disapproval. The senior monk, however, simply walked up to the woman, scooped her up into his arms, carried her across the turbulent water, and gently set her down on the other side. She bowed in gratitude and went on her way. The two monks continued their journey, but the junior monk was seething. For hours, he walked in agitated silence, his mind replaying the senior monk's transgression. Finally, unable to contain his indignation any longer, he burst out, "Brother, how could you do that? You know our vows forbid us from even looking at a woman, let alone touching one and carrying her in your arms. You have broken your sacred oath." The old monk looked at his companion with eyes full of compassion and replied softly, "Brother, I set that woman down by the riverbank miles ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This is the question we must all ask ourselves. What old hurts? What past injustices? What long-gone people are you still carrying on your back every single day? When you do the sacred work of healing, when you put down the heavy baggage of the past, a profound lightness enters your being. You have cleared out the dense, energetic debris. A vast, quiet, open space is created within you. But this newfound freedom can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling. We are so accustomed to the struggle, to grasping, to controlling and fighting, that we have forgotten how to simply be. The next stage of our journey, therefore, is to learn how to gracefully navigate this inner spaciousness. It requires us to learn the great paradox of achieving more by striving less. It is the subtle, yet profoundly powerful, art of letting go. After the deep and courageous work of healing, a quiet stillness settles within your being. The heavy anchors of the past have been lifted. The loud static of old wounds has subsided. And in this newfound inner space, a new and far more subtle challenge arises. It is the great paradox of creation, the delicate dance between intention and surrender. You have learned how to broadcast your signal with clarity and power. Now, you must learn the most advanced technique of all: how to get out of your own way and let the universe do its work. This is the sacred art of letting go. To understand this, we must first distinguish between pure desire and its toxic cousin, attachment. Desire, in its purest form, is a sacred impulse. It is the universe itself seeking to express more of its life, its beauty, its love, and its abundance through you. The desire for a joyful relationship is the universe wanting to experience love through you. The desire to create art is the universe wanting to express its beauty through you. A pure desire is a clear, high-frequency signal, a beautiful note played on the instrument of your soul. Attachment, however, is what happens when the ego contaminates that pure desire with fear and doubt. Attachment is the tight, white-knuckled grip of needing a specific outcome to happen in a specific way and on a specific timeline. It is the frantic, desperate energy that asks, "Is it here yet? Why isn't it working? What if I'm doing it wrong?" This needy, controlling energy broadcasts a powerful frequency of lack. It screams to the universe, "I don't have this, and I don't trust that it's coming." This signal of desperation actively cancels out the signal of your beautiful desire. It is like planting a seed in fertile soil and then digging it up every morning to check if it's growing. Your impatience and lack of trust will inevitably kill the very thing you wish to cultivate. This is why letting go is not the same as giving up. Giving up is an act of resignation. It is dropping your desire out of a feeling of hopelessness. It is saying, I don't believe it's possible, which is a low-frequency broadcast of defeat. Letting go, or surrender, is the complete opposite. It is the ultimate act of faith. It is a high-frequency broadcast of profound trust. It is you, having planted your seed through visualization and affirmation, now having the wisdom to water it with gratitude and allow the sun and the soil to do their work without your interference. Surrender is releasing your obsessive control over the how, the when, and the where. You have placed your order with the cosmic kitchen. You must now trust that the master chef of the universe, with its infinitely greater intelligence and perspective, is arranging the ingredients and cooking your meal in a way that is far more brilliant than your limited mind could ever conceive. Your job is not to storm into the kitchen and tell the chef how to cook. Your job is to trust the process and enjoy the journey. This state of trust creates the fertile ground for allowing. Allowing is a state of being. It is an open, non-resistant posture towards life. It is like opening all the windows and doors of your home to let a cool, fresh breeze flow through unimpeded. When you are in a state of allowing, you are not trying to force doors open or manipulate situations. You are relaxed, peaceful, and open to receiving your good in both expected and wonderfully unexpected ways. Perhaps the job you desperately wanted wasn't the right fit, and the universe has a far more fulfilling opportunity waiting for you around the corner. Perhaps the partner who rejected you was making space for your true soulmate to enter your life. When you are attached to a specific outcome, you are in a state of resistance to anything else. When you are in a state of allowing, you are telling the universe, I am open to this, or something even better. There is a timeless Taoist parable that beautifully illustrates this wisdom. An old farmer in a small village had one prized stallion. One day, the horse ran away. The farmer's neighbors all came to console him, saying, "Oh, what terrible luck." The old farmer simply replied, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" A week later, the stallion returned, leading a magnificent herd of 10 wild horses with it. The neighbors rushed over to celebrate, exclaiming, "What incredible good luck!" The farmer again just shrugged and said, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" The next day, the farmer's only son was trying to tame one of the wild horses when he was thrown off and his leg was badly broken. The neighbors gathered again, shaking their heads. "What awful luck! For your son to be crippled." The farmer responded with his familiar refrain, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" A few weeks later, the emperor's army marched into the village, conscripting every able-bodied young man for a brutal war from which few would return. When they saw the farmer's son with his broken leg, they passed him by. The universe sees a much larger tapestry than we can. What we perceive up close as a tragic rip in the fabric may be a necessary thread in a magnificent, larger design. Surrender is the wisdom to trust this larger pattern, even when, and especially when, it doesn't make sense from our limited vantage point. It is releasing the need to label every event as good or bad and instead, trusting the flow of a benevolent intelligence. Now, this state of surrender and allowing is not one of passive inaction. It is not about sitting on your meditation cushion and expecting a bag of money to fall from the ceiling. That is a misunderstanding that leads to stagnation. When you release the frantic, controlling energy of the ego, you create a powerful energetic vacuum. You clear the channel, and into this newly quiet and receptive space, the universe can finally get its messages through to you. You begin to receive its whispers, its intuitive nudges, its signs and synchronicities. You move from a state of frantic, forced effort, which is like trying to row a boat against a powerful current, to a new kind of action. An action that feels effortless, joyful, and divinely guided. This is the crucial difference between the grind of hard work and the grace of inspired action. This state of surrender, of letting go, is not one of passive waiting. It is a state of active, intelligent cooperation with the universe. But the action you take from this place of trust is fundamentally different from the action you take from a place of fear and control. This is the crucial distinction between hard work and inspired action. Imagine two people trying to build a new life for themselves on the other side of a wide river. The first person embodies the philosophy of hard work and hustle. Believing they must do it all themselves, they grit their teeth, jump into the cold water, and begin to swim frantically against the powerful current. They struggle, they flail, they expend enormous amounts of energy just to keep from being swept downstream. Every inch of progress is a battle. This is action born from the low-frequency belief of, I have to force it to happen. Life is a struggle. The second person embodies the philosophy of inspired action. Having learned the art of surrender, they don't immediately jump into the water. Instead, they sit peacefully on the riverbank. They quiet their mind, align their frequency with a feeling of trust, and simply observe. They are in a state of allowing. After a little while, they notice a sturdy, abandoned boat tied to a tree just a little way down the shore. A moment later, they spot a single oar washed up in the reeds. The universe, responding to their state of non-resistance, has presented them with a solution. Their action is to simply untie the boat, retrieve the oar, and gently paddle with the current, arriving on the other side with ease and grace. Hard work, the kind of hustle and grind culture that is so often celebrated, feels heavy. It feels like pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill. It is draining, stressful, and depleting. It is action taken to compensate for a low vibration. It is an attempt to overcome a feeling of lack through sheer brute force. Inspired action, on the other hand, feels light. It feels exciting, joyful, and effortless. It doesn't drain your energy, it actually energizes you. It feels like the next logical, obvious step. There is no agonizing internal debate or procrastination. There is just a clear, quiet, and powerful yes that arises from within. This is the universe's green light. This is the log floating by at the perfect moment. Your only job is to get on. So, how do you learn to recognize these signals, these floating logs from the universe? You must learn to listen in a new way. Inspired action often arrives as a quiet, intuitive nudge. It is a sudden, gentle urge to call an old friend, to visit a particular bookstore, or to drive home a different way. It rarely makes logical sense. Your rational mind might argue against it. But there is a persistent, gentle pulling sensation from your heart or your gut. Following these nudges is an act of trust, and it often leads to miraculous synchronicities. A synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence, a wink from the universe confirming you are on the right path. You follow the nudge to the bookstore, and the exact book you need to solve your problem literally falls off the shelf at your feet. You call the old friend, and they just happen to know someone who is looking for a person with your exact skills. These are not random accidents, they are the result of you being in the flow, allowing the universe to orchestrate events on your behalf. Inspiration can also arrive as a sudden flash of insight, an aha moment that seems to come from nowhere. It often happens when you are most relaxed and not trying to figure things out while you are in the shower, on a long walk in nature, or just as you are drifting off to sleep. This is because, in these relaxed states, your conscious, analytical mind gets out of the way, and you create a clear channel for the higher intelligence of the universe to drop a solution directly into your awareness. The story of the creation of Harry Potter is a perfect example of this process. J.K. Rowling was on a delayed train from Manchester to London. She was not trying to think up a story. She was simply sitting, looking out the window, her mind in a relaxed, receptive state. As she described it, the idea for Harry Potter fell into her head. A boy who didn't know he was a wizard, going off to wizarding school. She saw him and the entire world with perfect clarity. It was a complete, instantaneous download, an inspired idea, gifted to her by the universe. That was the first part of the process. The second part was her inspired action. She didn't have a pen at that moment, but as soon as she got back to her apartment, she began writing frantically, capturing the flood of inspiration that was pouring through her. The years of dedicated writing that followed were still work, but it was work fueled by the unquenchable fire of that initial, divine spark. She was not just working hard, she was collaborating with a powerful, inspired idea. A simple rule of thumb on this path is this: if an action feels expansive, light, and joyful, it is inspired. Do it. If an action feels heavy, contracted, and full of resistance, stop. Pushing through that feeling of resistance is swimming against the current. The resistance is a signal that you have fallen out of vibrational alignment. The most productive thing you can do in that moment is not to push harder, but to go do something that makes you feel good. Listen to your favorite song. Go for a walk. Play with a pet. Do anything to raise your frequency. Once you are back in alignment, the feeling of resistance will dissolve, and the path forward will feel clear and easy once more. This state of receptive, inspired flow is a delicate and precious thing. It is not only influenced by your internal world of thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, but it is also profoundly affected by the energetic vibrations of your external world. Think of how different you feel in a cluttered, chaotic, and dirty room versus a clean, beautiful, and organized space. Think of how you feel after spending an hour with a deeply negative and complaining person versus spending that same hour with someone who is positive, supportive, and joyful. Your environment is not a passive backdrop to your life. It is an active participant in your vibrational orchestra. To maintain a clear channel for receiving and acting upon inspiration, you must become a conscious curator of your energetic environment. Your personal frequency is like a beautiful, finely tuned instrument. You can spend time in meditation and gratitude, carefully tuning each string to the perfect pitch of peace and abundance. But if you then take that exquisitely tuned instrument and attempt to play it in the middle of a loud, chaotic, and discordant construction site, its beautiful music will be drowned out, and the jarring vibrations of the environment will quickly pull it back out of tune. Your environment is not a passive backdrop to your life. It is the concert hall where your music is played. To keep your frequency clear and high, you must become the conscious curator of this sacred space. This means deliberately choosing the people, places, and information you allow into your experience. Let us begin with the most influential aspect of your environment: the people. It has often been said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not just a psychological truth, it is a vibrational one. Every person is a broadcasting station, constantly emitting their own energetic signature. When you are in close proximity to someone, your energy fields interact, they mingle, and they influence one another through the law of resonance. You will inevitably start to vibrate in harmony with the dominant frequencies around you. In this context, people generally fall into 2 categories. They are either radiators or drains. Radiators are people who are aligned with high frequencies. They are optimistic, supportive, joyful, and encouraging. After spending time with them, you feel uplifted, energized, and more like yourself. Drains, on the other hand, are vibrating at a low frequency. They are often stuck in patterns of complaining, criticism, gossip, and fear. After spending time with them, you feel heavy, tired, and depleted, as if your own life force has been siphoned off. To protect your vibration, you must make a conscious choice to spend more of your precious time and energy with the radiators. This does not mean you must cruelly abandon friends or family who are struggling. It does mean you must love them from a distance at times, limit your exposure, and refuse to let their low frequency become your own. Next, consider your physical environment, your home, your nest. Your physical space is a direct reflection of your inner space, and vice versa. A cluttered, disorganized, and dirty home creates stagnant, chaotic energy. Everything in your home holds a vibration. Old objects from past relationships, clothes you never wear, gifts you never liked, broken items waiting to be fixed. All of these things hold a heavy, low-frequency energy that can keep you tethered to the past and block the flow of new, fresh energy into your life. The act of decluttering is therefore a profound spiritual practice. It is an energetic clearing. As you sort through your possessions, ask yourself of each item, does this bring me joy? Does this make me feel good? If the answer is no, then its frequency is not a match for the life you are creating. Let it go with gratitude. By clearing out the physical clutter, you are creating space, both literally and energetically, for new and better things to come to you. You can then amplify the vibration of your space by bringing in elements of nature, like plants and sunlight, by playing uplifting music, and by keeping it clean and beautiful. Your home should be your sanctuary, a high vibrational charging station for your soul. Finally, you must become a conscious curator of your informational environment. your mental diet. In today's world, this may be the most critical area of all. The information you consume is the food you feed your mind, and it directly programs your vibrational output. If your daily diet consists of a steady stream of mainstream news, which is overwhelmingly focused on fear, disaster, conflict, and crisis, you are feeding your mind poison. You are programming yourself to believe that the world is a dangerous and scarce place, which makes it nearly impossible to hold a steady frequency of peace and abundance. Likewise, be mindful of your social media consumption. The endless scroll through the curated highlight reels of other people's lives is often a direct path to the comparison trap, triggering immediate feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, and lack. You must curate your mental diet as carefully as you would your physical diet. Unfollow the accounts that make you feel bad. Limit your exposure to fear-based news. Actively seek out books, podcasts, and content that uplift, inspire, and educate you. To manage all of these environmental influences, you must learn to develop strong energetic boundaries. A boundary is not a wall you build to shut the world out. It is a loving act of self-respect. It is a fence you build around your inner garden to protect it from being trampled on. It is you saying, "I love you, but I love my own peace of mind more." A boundary can be as simple as saying no, without guilt, to an invitation that you know will drain you. It can be limiting a phone call with a complaining relative to 10 minutes. It can be lovingly changing the subject when a conversation turns to gossip or negativity. It is you taking 100% responsibility for the frequency you choose to maintain. Imagine you are a gardener, and your highest potential is a single, precious seed. This seed contains the blueprint for a magnificent, fruit-bearing tree. You can have the most perfect seed in the world, cultivated through your inner work of mindfulness, gratitude, and healing. But if you then plant that perfect seed in toxic, depleted soil, surround it with choking weeds, and water it with polluted information, it will struggle to even sprout. Its magnificent potential will be suffocated by its environment. To be a master creator, you must also be a master gardener. You must diligently prepare the soil of your life by curating a physical space that feels sacred and supportive. You must ruthlessly pull the weeds by setting firm boundaries with negative influences. And you must nourish your seed with the clean water and pure sunlight of uplifting relationships and inspiring information. Your inner work is the seed, your outer world is the soil. Both are absolutely essential for a beautiful harvest. As you begin to consciously curate your energetic environment in this way, you will inevitably notice that the most profound and immediate shifts occur within the realm of your personal connections. The people you choose to allow into your inner circle are not just passive parts of your environment. They are active co-creators of your vibrational reality. And applying this new understanding of frequency will completely transform how you approach the most important relationships in your life, especially the quest for deep, soulful, and lasting love. Of all the human desires, the longing for love and deep, meaningful connection is perhaps the most powerful. Our cultures have taught us to see this quest as an external hunt. We are told to search for the one, for our other half, a pursuit that is rooted in the subtle but profound belief that we are, on our own, incomplete. We create checklists, we swipe through profiles, we search for someone who can finally give us the love we crave. But the fundamental laws of frequency teach us a radically different and infinitely more empowering truth. You do not attract the love you want. You attract the love you are. Your relationships, without exception, are a mirror reflecting your own vibrational state back to you. If your dominant inner frequency is one of self-criticism, you will find yourself attracting partners and friends who criticize you, thereby perfectly validating your inner belief. If you broadcast a frequency of insecurity and jealousy, you will attract situations that trigger your insecurity and give you reasons to be jealous. If you feel a deep, aching need for someone to complete you, you are broadcasting a frequency of lack, of being a vacuum. This needy energy will either repel emotionally healthy individuals or attract someone who is equally needy, leading to a codependent relationship built on mutual emptiness rather than mutual fullness. The universe is not punishing you with bad relationships. It is lovingly and accurately providing you with people who are a perfect vibrational match to the signal you are currently broadcasting. This understanding changes everything. It means the quest for love is not an outer search, but an inner journey. To attract a partner who is loving, confident, respectful, and whole, you must first offer those very qualities to yourself. The prerequisite for attracting profound love from another is to first cultivate profound love for yourself. This is not narcissism or vanity. True self-love is a quiet, steady, and compassionate acceptance of who you are. It is treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a cherished friend. It is celebrating your own victories, forgiving your own mistakes, and honoring your own needs by setting firm boundaries. It is learning to enjoy your own company, to find fulfillment in your own passions, and to become the source of your own happiness. When you begin this journey of falling in love with yourself, a magnificent energetic shift occurs. You cease to broadcast the frequency of a hungry ghost, looking for someone else to feed you. Instead, you become a radiant sun, broadcasting a frequency of wholeness, joy, and completeness. You are no longer a vacuum trying to suck love from the world. You are a fountain, overflowing with love to share. This is the single most attractive frequency in the universe. A person who genuinely loves and values themselves is magnetic. They are not seeking a partner to fill a void, but a partner to share their fullness with. This is the foundation for a conscious, healthy, and thriving relationship. As you do this work and your own personal frequency begins to rise, you must be prepared for what is sometimes called the Great Vibrational Shift. As your note in the cosmic symphony changes, becoming clearer and higher, you will find that some of the people in your life who were a perfect resonant match for your old, lower frequency may no longer be in harmony with your new one. This can manifest as friendships that seem to drift apart for no apparent reason, or relationships that suddenly feel strained and discordant. This is not a tragedy. It is a natural and necessary part of your evolution. It is like a snake gracefully shedding a skin that has become too tight. It is the universe lovingly clearing space in your life, releasing what is no longer a vibrational match to make room for what is. And into that newly created space, your soul tribe will begin to appear. Your soul tribe is your resonant community. They are the friends, collaborators, mentors, and partners who are naturally tuned to your same frequency. When you meet these people, there is often an instant sense of recognition, of ease, of coming home. The connection is effortless. You don't have to explain yourself because they just get you. They celebrate your growth, understand your language, and support your highest vision for yourself. These are the people who reflect back to you the love and acceptance you have first cultivated within. As your own signal becomes stronger and clearer, these resonant souls will be drawn into your experience, often through the most magical and synchronistic of circumstances. The 13th century poet Rumi, who was at the time a respected and conventional religious scholar, experienced a soul connection of this magnitude. A wild, wandering mystic named Shams of Tabriz came into his life, and their meeting was like a collision of stars. On the surface, they had nothing in common, but their souls recognized each other at a frequency that transcended all logic and social convention. The connection was so powerful and so immediate that it completely transformed Rumi's life. Shams became a divine mirror for Rumi, igniting a fire in his heart that turned him from a sober academic into one of the most ecstatic and influential poets of divine love the world has ever known. Theirs was not a relationship built on checklists or common interests. It was a connection of pure soul resonance, a frequency match that catalyzed the highest potential in both of them. This is the depth of connection that becomes possible when you are no longer searching for a half, but are radiating your own wholeness. This profound transformation in your relationships, from a state of seeking validation to a state of radiating love, has consequences that reach far beyond your social life. The high frequencies of love, joy, self-acceptance, and belonging don't just feel good emotionally, they transform you on a cellular level. The energy that flows between people also flows within your own being, directly impacting the most intimate and immediate environment you will ever know, your own physical body. The instrument that plays your life's music must itself be kept in tune, and its state of health is, in many ways, a direct and honest reflection of the frequencies you consistently choose to entertain. Your body is not a machine that you pilot, nor is it a separate, fleshy vehicle that you use to transport your brain from place to place. Your body is a magnificent, living instrument of biofeedback. It is a harp with trillions of strings, and every cell, every tissue, every organ, is constantly vibrating in response to the music of your thoughts and emotions. Your physical health is the symphony that this instrument plays. For far too long, we have treated the body as if it were separate from the mind, but your body is where your subconscious mind finds its voice. It is constantly speaking to you, and the language it uses is sensation, vitality, and sometimes pain and illness. From a vibrational perspective, physical illness rarely begins in the body. The body is the final and densest stage of manifestation. A state of disease often originates first in the energy field, as a result of prolonged exposure to low-frequency thoughts and emotions. Think of what happens when you are chronically stressed, angry, or fearful. Your body is flooded with the low-vibration hormones of cortisol and adrenaline. Your muscles tense, your heart rate increases, your digestion shuts down. This is the fight-or-flight response, a survival mechanism designed for short-term emergencies. But when we live in this state day after day, due to worry about our job, resentment towards a family member, or a general fear of the future, we are creating a sustained, internal environment of disharmony. This chronic lack of ease is the energetic precursor to physical disease. Your body, in its infinite wisdom, may eventually create a physical symptom as a final, desperate attempt to get your attention, to scream at you that your current way of thinking and feeling is unsustainable and out of alignment with your natural state of well-being. This is not to say that you should blame yourself for any illness. It is to empower you with the knowledge that you have a profound ability to influence your own healing by consciously managing your frequency. And one of the most direct ways you influence your body's vibration every single day is through the food you choose to eat. Every piece of food you consume has its own energetic signature. High-frequency foods are those that are alive and full of life force energy, sometimes called prana. Think of fresh, organic fruits and vegetables ripened by the sun, bursting with color and vitality. Think of leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and pure, clean water. These foods add light and energy to your system. They are easy for your body to recognize and assimilate. They literally raise your vibration from the inside out. Low-frequency foods, on the other hand, are energetically dense or dead. These are the highly processed foods, filled with chemical preservatives, artificial flavors, and excessive sugar. These are the fast foods prepared without care, the sugary drinks that shock your system. These foods are heavy, and they require an enormous amount of your body's own life force energy just to be processed and eliminated. They weigh you down, both physically and energetically. Seeing your food through this vibrational lens transforms eating from a mindless act of fueling up into a sacred choice. With every meal, you are asking yourself, what frequency am I choosing to build my body with today? Another powerful way to manage your body's frequency is through movement. Our modern, sedentary lifestyle creates stagnant energy. Remember that emotion is simply energy in motion. When we sit for hours on end, trapped emotions like frustration and anxiety have nowhere to go. They become stuck in our tissues, creating tension and blockages. Movement is energy medicine. The simple act of putting on your favorite music and dancing around your living room for 5 minutes can completely transform your state. It physically shakes loose the stagnant energy, gets your blood and lymph flowing, releases a cocktail of high-frequency endorphins into your bloodstream, and allows stuck emotions to be processed and released. Practices like yoga, stretching, or a simple walk in nature are not just about burning calories. They are about cleansing and tuning your vibrational instrument. And of course, there is the sacred practice of sleep. We often treat sleep as an inconvenience, a necessary downtime that gets in the way of our productivity. But sleep is when the most profound healing occurs. It is when our conscious, analytical mind finally gets out of the way, allowing the body's innate, divine intelligence to do its repair work. During deep sleep, your cells regenerate, your organs detoxify, and your energy field cleanses itself of the psychic and emotional debris you've picked up throughout the day. To treat sleep as sacred is to prepare for it. Create a dark, quiet, cool sanctuary. Avoid the blue light of screens before bed, which disrupts your natural rhythms. Perhaps read something inspiring or listen to calming music. Set an intention as you drift off for deep, restorative, and healing sleep, allowing your body and your soul to be fully recharged by the universal source. Consider the true story of a woman we will call Sarah, who for years had suffered from a debilitating autoimmune condition. She had tried every medication, seen dozens of specialists, and followed every restrictive diet, yet her pain and fatigue persisted. Her life had become defined by her illness. Finally, in a state of desperation, she began to explore the mind-body connection. She started a simple, non-negotiable daily practice. Each morning, she would meditate for just 10 minutes. She would write down 3 things she was grateful for, and she would do a short visualization where she saw and felt her body as healthy and whole. She also began the difficult work of forgiving a deep-seated resentment she held towards a parent. For the first few weeks, her physical symptoms didn't change, but her emotional state did. She felt a little lighter. A spark of hope returned. She began to consciously shift her identity from "I am a sick person" to "I am a person who is healing." Over several months of this consistent inner work, of consciously changing her dominant frequency from one of victimhood and resentment to one of peace and gratitude, something miraculous began to happen. Her pain began to lessen. Her energy slowly returned. Her doctors were astonished as her blood tests began to normalize. She did not think herself well. She changed her entire energetic environment, and in doing so, she created the optimal conditions for her body's own powerful healing intelligence to finally do its miraculous work. As you begin to apply these principles, you start to cultivate a state of holistic well-being. Your inner world becomes more peaceful, your relationships become more harmonious, and your physical body, this sacred instrument, begins to reflect that harmony through increased health and vitality. There is, however, one area of life that for many remains the final frontier of resistance, a realm surrounded by more dense, limiting beliefs and anxious energy than perhaps any other. It is the complex and often deeply misunderstood domain of money, wealth, and abundance. Of all the subjects on earth, none is as charged with dense, contradictory, and powerful human emotion as money. It is tangled with our deepest fears of survival, our most tender feelings of self-worth, and generations of powerful, limiting beliefs. We are taught to want it, but that wanting it is greedy. We are taught to save it, but that hoarding it is wrong. It is no wonder that for so many, this remains the final frontier of resistance. To master the flow of financial well-being in your life, you must first do something radical. You must stop seeing money as a thing you have to chase, earn, and fight for, and start seeing it for what it truly is. Energy. Pure, simple, neutral energy. The single greatest blockage to the flow of this energy in our world is the mass hypnosis of the scarcity mindset. This is the pervasive, deeply ingrained belief that there is a limited supply of resources, that the pie is only so big, and that for you to have more, someone else must have less. This belief breeds competition, fear, jealousy, and a constant, low-grade anxiety. But look around you at the universe. Does it operate on a budget? Look at the billions of stars in our galaxy alone, the countless grains of sand on every beach, the trillions of leaves that grow on trees every spring without fail. The universe is not scarce, it is extravagantly, wildly, and infinitely abundant. Scarcity is a man-made concept. It is a frequency we have been conditioned to broadcast, a prison of perception we have built for ourselves. Abundance is the default setting of the cosmos. Your primary work is to shift your own frequency from the constriction of scarcity to the open-hearted expansion of abundance. To do this, you must change your relationship with money itself. Stop thinking of it as paper or numbers on a screen. Money is simply a convenient medium for the exchange of value and energy. It is a current, Like electricity or a river, it is not good or bad. It is a neutral amplifier. If you are a fearful and insecure person, more money will only amplify your fears. If you are a generous and loving person, more money will simply amplify your ability to be generous. The energy of money needs to flow. Many people who are in a state of lack try to hoard what little they have, building a dam out of fear. This stops the flow, and the energy becomes stagnant and dead. Other people, also in a state of lack, spend money frantically and carelessly as soon as they get it, like a river bursting its banks in a destructive flood. The goal is to become a healthy, flowing river. You must be open to receiving it easily and without guilt. And you must be open to letting it go easily and without fear. It is about circulation, not desperate accumulation. The most powerful way to tune yourself to the frequency of this flow is to stop waiting for money to arrive before you allow yourself to feel good. You do not get money in order to feel abundant. You must feel abundant in order to attract money. The feeling state must precede the physical manifestation. Ask yourself, what is the feeling you believe more money will give you? Is it freedom? Is it security? Is it ease? Is it joy? Is it the ability to be generous? Now, your work is to find ways to generate that core feeling in your life right now, without needing a single extra dollar. If you desire freedom, don't wait for $1 million to travel. Go for a long walk in nature and feel the freedom of the open sky. If you desire security, take a moment to deeply appreciate the roof over your head and the food in your pantry, and feel the profound security that is already yours. If you desire the joy of being generous, you don't need to write a big check. Give a heartfelt compliment, offer your time to a friend in need, or simply radiate love to the people you pass on the street. When you practice generating the feeling of wealth, you become a vibrational match for the circumstances that will bring you the physical form of wealth. You are tuning your instrument to the note of abundance. This brings us to the active, outward expression of an abundant frequency, the practice of joyful giving. When you give, whether it's your time, your energy, or your money, from a place of genuine joy and trust, you are making one of the most powerful statements to the universe possible. You are declaring, I have more than enough, my source is infinite, I live in a generous world. This act of joyful release creates an energetic vacuum, and the universe abhors a vacuum. It will rush to fill that space you have created, often in the most unexpected and delightful ways. This is why tipping a service person generously with a smile, donating to a cause that lights up your heart, or buying a friend a coffee just because, all feel so good. It is the feeling of aligning with the universal flow of circulation. This must be done with joy, not out of a sense of obligation or a desire to get something back. The joyful feeling itself is the point. There is a story of a man who, though he lived simply, always felt deeply wealthy because he knew the universe was his true source. One evening, he found himself with only a few dollars left in his pocket, just enough for a humble meal. As he walked towards a small cafe, he saw a man sitting on the sidewalk, looking cold and hungry. Without a moment's hesitation, not from a place of pity or self-sacrifice, but from a genuine upwelling of joy and trust, the man walked over, gave the stranger his last few dollars, and said with a smile, I trust there's more than enough for both of us. He then walked away, not feeling poor or foolish, but feeling light, free, and deeply abundant. He had affirmed his trust in the flow. Later that night, he received an unexpected call from a former client who wanted to pay an old invoice he had long forgotten about. The payment was many times more than the few dollars he had given away. The universe was not rewarding him for a good deed. It was responding perfectly to the clear, powerful, and unambiguous frequency of trust and abundance that he had broadcasted through his joyful act. As you begin to consciously tune your frequency to this new and liberating understanding of abundance, seeing the world as generous, treating money as energy, and practicing the feeling of wealth, now you will start to notice something magical. The universe will begin to communicate back to you. It will start sending you little signals, winks, and nods to let you know that it has received your new broadcast and that your order is on its way. You must now learn to open your eyes to this magical feedback loop, to learn how to read the signs and interpret the synchronicities that confirm you are Indeed, in the magnificent flow, as you consciously shift your frequency, an incredible transformation occurs. The universe ceases to be a silent, impartial mirror and becomes an active, responsive dance partner. It begins to speak to you, not in the clumsy, limited grammar of human language, but in a magical, symbolic dialect of its own. This divine language is composed of synchronicities, signs, and intuitive nudges. Learning to recognize and interpret this conversation is one of the most joyful and faith-building aspects of this entire journey. It is the proof that you have been heard. The term synchronicity was coined by the great psychologist Carl Jung to describe a meaningful coincidence. It is that magical moment when an event in your outer world aligns perfectly with a thought or feeling in your inner world in a way that defies all probability and feels charged with personal significance. It is the universe winking at you, a divine nod of encouragement that says, "Yes, keep going, I am with you. You are on the right path." These are not just random accidents, they are orchestrated moments of resonance, arranged by a higher intelligence to guide and affirm you. The universe has many ways of sending you these messages. One of the most common is through repeating numbers. Perhaps you find yourself constantly glancing at the clock at exactly 11:11, or seeing the number 444 on license plates, receipts, and billboards. Do not get too caught up in trying to decode a rigid, universal meaning for each number. Instead, see these patterns for what they are: a gentle tap on your shoulder from the universe. It is a pattern interrupt, a signal designed to pull you out of your mental chatter and into the present moment, reminding you to pay attention to the thoughts you were just thinking, for they are powerful and aligned with creation. The universe also speaks to you through the words of others and through media. Have you ever been wrestling with a difficult question in your mind, only to walk past a cafe where you overhear a stranger say the exact phrase you needed to hear? Or you turn on the car radio, and the lyrics of a song answer your question with stunning precision? These are not coincidences. This is the universe using the infinite channels at its disposal to deliver a message directly to your receptive awareness. It can also speak through symbols that have personal meaning to you. After asking for a sign of encouragement, you might find a single white feather on your doorstep. Or you may repeatedly see a specific animal, like a hawk or a butterfly. That for you represents freedom or transformation. The key to reading these signs is to cultivate a state of relaxed, open attention. You cannot find them by frantically searching for them. This creates an energy of desperation that actually blocks them. The most powerful signs are the ones that find you. They will stop you in your tracks and evoke a feeling of wonder, surprise, and a little shiver of magic. If you have to ask yourself, "I wonder if that was a sign," it probably wasn't. When a true sign appears, you will know. There will be a feeling of resonance deep within you, a sense of being seen and communicated with directly. It is also vital to remember that the meaning of a sign is deeply personal. The universe speaks to you in a symbolic language that your own soul understands. The key is not to look up the meaning in a book, but to go inside and ask, "What does this mean to me? What feeling does this evoke in me right now?" Trust your own intuition. It is your personal translator for the language of the cosmos. A wonderful practice is to keep a synchronicity journal. When one of these magical events occurs, write it down. Note the date, what happened, and most importantly, what you were thinking or feeling just before it happened. Over time, as you look back through your journal, you will be astonished to see the undeniable patterns, the ongoing conversation the universe has been having with you. This practice builds an unshakable foundation of trust and faith in the benevolent, responsive nature of reality. Consider the story of a man named Alex, who was deeply unhappy in his stable but soul-crushing corporate job. He dreamed of working for a small, innovative startup called Emerge, but he was paralyzed by the fear of leaving his security behind. One night, filled with anxiety, he finally surrendered. He looked up and said, "Universe, I don't know what to do. If this job at Emerge is the right path for me, please, just give me a clear sign." The next day, his two-way conversation began. While riding the bus to the job he disliked, he overheard two people behind him talking about a new tech company that was truly emerging as a leader. Alex's ears perked up. Later that afternoon, while flipping through a magazine at lunch, he saw a full-page advertisement for a consulting firm, and the headline, in giant, bold letters, was the single word, Emerge. That evening, driving home in traffic, he found himself behind a large truck. On the back door, in clean, simple lettering, was the name of the company, Emerge Logistics. It was the third time in a single day. The sheer improbability of it broke through his wall of fear. He felt it, the wink from the universe. It was a feeling of pure magic, of being supported. He took it as his sign, resigned the next day, and accepted the job at Emerge. It was a decision that completely transformed his life, leading him to a career filled with passion and purpose. This beautiful, ongoing conversation with the universe requires you to maintain a clear and steady signal. Just as a radio needs a consistent power source and a clear antenna to receive a distant station without static, your own energetic system needs consistent maintenance to stay tuned to these higher, subtler frequencies of intuition and synchronicity. This is not a one-time fix or something you do only when you need an answer. It is a way of life. To keep the channel open, you must learn the art of the daily tune-up. A master violinist would never dream of walking on stage to perform a great concerto without first meticulously tuning their instrument. They know that the acoustics of the hall, the humidity in the air, and the intensity of their playing can all conspire to pull the strings slightly out of pitch. They know that even the smallest deviation can turn what should be beautiful music into discordant noise. And so, the tuning is not an afterthought. It is a non-negotiable, sacred ritual. You, my friend, are an infinitely more complex and precious instrument than any Stradivarius. To play the masterpiece of your life with clarity and grace, you cannot afford to leave your own tuning to chance. You must commit to the daily, loving practice of calibrating your own frequency. The most critical time for this practice is within the first hour of your day. The way you begin your morning sets the energetic keynote for the next 16 hours. Yet, what is the first thing most of us do upon waking? We reach for our phones. We immediately flood our freshly rested minds with the anxieties of the world's news, the demands of other people's emails, and the curated, comparison-inducing highlight reels of social media. This is the equivalent of letting a random, chaotic crowd tune your violin for you. You are instantly handing over your power, allowing the low-frequency static of the outside world to define your vibration before you have even had a chance to choose it for yourself. To reclaim your power, you must dedicate the first part of your day, whether it's an hour or even just 15 minutes, to yourself. This is your golden hour, a sacred and uninterrupted time for your daily tune-up. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be built from a simple menu of high-vibration practices. Begin by simply hydrating the trillions of cells in your body with a glass of water. Then, before you do anything else, just sit for a moment and take 3 deep, conscious breaths. This simple act signals safety to your nervous system and brings you fully into the present moment. From there, you can add layers. Perhaps you engage in a few minutes of meditation, not to stop your thoughts, but to simply sit behind them as the silent observer, calming the waters of your mind. Then, you can pick up your gratitude journal and write down 3 things you are genuinely thankful for, taking a moment to truly feel the warmth of appreciation for each one. This tunes you directly to the frequency of abundance. You can then set your intention for the day. This isn't a to-do list, but a to-be list. You can use visualization or affirmations to declare how you want to feel. Today, my intention is to move through my day with ease and joy. Today, I am a magnet for creative solutions. You are giving the universe your desired frequency for the day ahead. Follow this with a few pages from an inspiring book, feeding your mind with uplifting ideas rather than fearful headlines. And finally, engage in some gentle movement. A few simple stretches, a sun salutation, or a short walk around the block gets the energy flowing through your body, waking up your physical instrument. This morning routine is your launch sequence, designed to put you into a high vibrational orbit. But the gravitational pull of daily life will inevitably try to pull you back down. That is why you must also create small, frequency anchors to use throughout your day. You might set a quiet alarm on your phone for 3 different times during the day. When it chimes, it's your cue to take just one conscious breath and ask yourself, what am I vibrating right now? This simple pattern interrupt can stop a downward spiral in its tracks. You can also create a high vibration playlist, a collection of songs that instantly make you feel joyful and empowered. When you feel your energy dipping, put on your headphones for a few minutes and let the music retune you. Whenever possible, use nature's reset button. Step outside. Feel the sun or the breeze on your skin. Look at the vastness of the sky. Nature is a powerful and constant high-frequency broadcast that can instantly recalibrate your own. Just as important as your morning launch is your evening cooldown. You cannot expect to have a deeply restorative sleep if you carry the stress and energetic debris of the day into your bed. Create a digital sunset by turning off all screens, the news, social media, stressful emails at least an hour before you intend to sleep. This allows your brain to begin producing melatonin and your nervous system to calm down. If your mind is racing with worries or a to-do list, perform a brain dump. Write everything down on a piece of paper to get it out of your head, trusting you can deal with it tomorrow. Take a moment to reflect on your day, not with judgment, but with curiosity. What went well? What was challenging? Consciously release any negative interactions or energies you may have picked up, and end your day as you began it, with a thought of gratitude, holding a feeling of peace as you drift off to sleep. This daily routine is not another chore to add to your list. It is the sacred and loving duty of the master musician who is serious about their craft. It is the care and maintenance you give your priceless instrument. Some mornings, you will wake up and find your strings are wildly out of tune from the events of the day before, and your practice will be essential. Other mornings, you may find you only need a slight adjustment. But the unwavering commitment to the daily tuning is what separates the amateur from the virtuoso. It is what ensures that the music you broadcast into the world is consistently clear, harmonious, and exquisitely beautiful. And when you commit to this daily practice, something truly extraordinary begins to happen. You don't just change the music of your own life. Your clear, high-frequency note begins to resonate outwards, creating a powerful ripple effect that touches everyone and everything around you. Your personal practice becomes a silent, profound, and transformative gift to the world. In the vast, interconnected ocean of universal consciousness, there is no such thing as an isolated event. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every frequency you broadcast, is like a pebble dropped into this infinite ocean. It creates ripples, and these ripples travel outwards, endlessly, touching every other point in the entire field. When you commit to the daily practice of tuning your own instrument, you are not just making better music for yourself. You are fundamentally changing the symphony of the world. This is the ripple effect, and it is your greatest gift to humanity. To understand the sheer power of your personal frequency, we can look to the science of coherence. In physics, when waves of energy are out of sync and chaotic, they are called incoherent. They clash and cancel each other out. Fear, anger, grief, and chaos are all low-energy, incoherent frequencies. When waves of energy are aligned and moving in an orderly, harmonious pattern, they are called coherent. Their individual power adds up, amplifying each other exponentially. Love, peace, joy, and compassion are all highly coherent, organized frequencies. Studies in bioenergetics have shown something remarkable. The coherent field generated by the human heart in a state of love or appreciation is the most powerful frequency produced by the body. It is so powerful, in fact, that it can be measured several feet away and can actually entrain the brainwaves and heart rhythms of other people nearby, bringing them into a more coherent state without any physical interaction. Think of the staggering implication of this. One single person, sitting quietly in a room and genuinely holding the coherent frequency of peace, can counterbalance the incoherent, chaotic energy of hundreds, or even thousands, of people operating from a state of fear and anxiety. Your personal peace is not a passive state. It is an active, stabilizing force in the world. This is the silent ministry of your presence. Your greatest service to the planet is not always what you do, protesting, the fighting, the striving. Your greatest service is very often who you choose to be. When you walk into a room holding a frequency of unconditional love, you silently give everyone else permission to drop their armor. When you navigate a challenge with grace and trust, you become a living demonstration of what is possible for others. You become a walking permission slip for humanity to ascend to a higher state of consciousness. This reframes our entire approach to changing the world. The old paradigm was to fight against the darkness. To fix the problems, we focused on the problems. We resisted what we didn't want. We fought against injustice. While the intention is noble, this approach often mires us in the very low frequencies we are trying to change. We meet anger with anger and fight with fight. The new paradigm, the way of the vibrational master, is to stop fighting the darkness and to instead become so powerfully radiant with light that the darkness simply cannot exist in your presence. It is to stop focusing on the world's problems and to instead become the living embodiment of the solution. You don't bring peace to the world by fighting wars. You bring peace to the world by becoming a vessel of peace yourself. Your inner work is your highest form of activism. Imagine a lighthouse on a rocky shore during a violent storm. The lighthouse does not run all over the island, chasing after individual ships to save them. It does not scream at the raging wind or curse the jagged rocks. It does not drain its energy trying to calm the storm. It has only one simple, powerful job: to stay anchored to its foundation and to shine its light. By simply and steadfastly being its truest self, it provides the guidance, the hope, and the clear path that allows countless ships to navigate their own way safely to harbor. You are that lighthouse. Your job is not to fix everyone else's life. It is not to calm the storms of the world. Your job is to tend to your own light, to stay anchored in your own truth, and to shine your frequency as brightly and as purely as you possibly can. That is your gift. There is a phenomenon, whether story or science, known as the 100th monkey effect, that serves as a perfect allegory for this principle. Scientists observing monkeys on the Japanese island of Koshima began leaving sand-covered sweet potatoes on the beach for them. The monkeys liked the potatoes but disliked the sand. One day, a brilliant young monkey named Imo discovered that she could wash the potato in a nearby stream. She then taught this trick to her mother and her playmates. Slowly, over several years, more and more monkeys on the island learned to wash their potatoes. Then, one day, it is said, a critical threshold was reached. When the 100th monkey learned the skill, something miraculous happened. Monkeys on other, completely separate islands, who had had no physical contact or communication with the original group, suddenly and spontaneously began washing their potatoes as well. The new awareness, upon reaching a critical mass, had somehow entered the collective consciousness of the species. Whether the story is literally true or not, it illustrates a profound spiritual truth. Every single time you choose love over fear, you are being the 100th monkey. Every time you choose forgiveness over resentment, every time you choose trust over anxiety, you are adding your light to the collective consciousness. You are making it easier for the next person, somewhere else on the planet, to make that same high-frequency choice. Your personal breakthrough contributes to a planetary breakthrough. When you truly grasp the power of this ripple effect, your motivation for this work fundamentally shifts. It ceases to be a self-improvement project designed merely to get you more things or a better life. It becomes your sacred contribution to the healing and evolution of all humanity. This profound sense of purpose deepens your commitment and propels you into the next and most graceful stage of your evolution. You begin to move beyond consciously, doing the techniques to raise your vibration, and into a state where high-frequency living becomes your natural, effortless essence. You stop trying to be the lighthouse. You simply are the lighthouse. This is the profound and liberating art of living, as if we have now journeyed through the entire landscape of creation. We have learned that we are broadcasting stations, that our thoughts and emotions craft our signal, and that the universe responds not to our wishes, but to our frequency. We have gathered a powerful set of tools to consciously tune this frequency. But all of these tools, meditation, gratitude, visualization, affirmation, are, in essence, training wheels. They are sacred and essential aids designed to help you learn the balance and feel of a high vibration. Now, we arrive at the destination of this path, which is, paradoxically, the realization that there was never any distance to travel. we arrive at the final, most graceful, and most potent stage of creation, the shift from doing to being. This is the sublime art of living, as if. The goal of the techniques was never the techniques themselves. The goal was always to generate a feeling state. You visualized to feel the joy of your desire. You affirmed to feel the confidence of your truth. You practiced gratitude to feel the reality of abundance. Living as if is the graduation from this process. It is the ability to sustain that desired feeling state as your natural way of being, without needing the technique as a constant crutch. You no longer need to set aside 10 minutes to visualize financial freedom, because you now walk through your day as a person who is financially free. You no longer need to repeat affirmations of self-worth, because you now move through the world with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who knows their value. The training wheels come off, and you simply are the frequency. The master key to this state of embodiment is a single, transformative question that you can apply to any desire you hold. Instead of asking, "How can I get this?" you must ask yourself, "Who would I be if this were already my reality?" Take a moment and let the depth of that question sink in. If your desire is for perfect health and vitality, ask yourself, how would the version of me who is already perfectly healthy think upon waking in the morning? How would they stand? How would they breathe? What choices would they make for their meals? How would they speak about their body? Would they complain about aches and pains? Or would they marvel at their body's strength and energy? Your task is to begin thinking, feeling, and acting like that version of you, now. If your desire is for a deeply loving and committed partnership, ask yourself, how would the version of me who is already cherished, adored, and secure in love behave? How would they treat themselves? Would they be needy and insecure? Or would they radiate a calm, self-assured love? How would they interact with strangers, with friends, with family? They would likely be more open, more loving, more trusting, because they are operating from a place of fullness, not lack. Your task is to start generating that loving, secure energy from within yourself first. Don't wait for a relationship to give you that feeling. Give that feeling to yourself, and the relationship that matches it must appear. This is the fusion of your inner and outer worlds. There is no longer a gap. Your actions become the natural, effortless extension of your state of being. You no longer have to try to act abundant. When you embody the frequency of abundance, you simply make decisions that an abundant person would make. You invest in your own growth. You tip generously. You give freely without fear. Not because you are trying to attract more, but because that is the natural behavior of someone who knows their source is infinite. At this stage, you have eliminated all energetic contradiction. Your thoughts, your emotions, your words, and your actions are all singing the exact same, perfectly coherent note. This is the state of maximum creative resonance, where the universe has no choice but to beautifully and faithfully mirror back to you the reality that you have so completely become on the inside. To understand this, think of the craft of a great method actor. A truly committed method actor doesn't just learn their lines and pretend to be a character. They seek to become the character. If they are playing a 19th century blacksmith, they may spend months learning the trade, living in a rustic cabin, speaking the dialect even when the cameras are not rolling. They do this so that their every gesture, their every glance, their every word comes from a place of authentic, embodied truth. Their nervous system, their very cellular memory, begins to believe it is the blacksmith. The result is a performance on screen that is breathtakingly powerful and real, precisely because it is no longer a performance at all. It is an embodiment. You must now become a method actor for the greatest role you will ever play, the role of your highest, most realized self. You must commit to this role so fully, immerse yourself in its frequency so completely that you forget you are even acting. It simply becomes who you are. The old identity, the one filled with lack and limitation, becomes a costume you no longer wear. When you master this art of living as if, when you successfully and consistently close the gap between the person you have been and the person you now choose to be, a final, profound truth begins to dawn on you. You realize that the entire act of attracting your desire from an outside source was always a useful illusion. You were never separate from the health, the love, or the abundance you sought. The feeling state that you worked so hard to generate was not something you manufactured out of thin air, it was something you uncovered. It was, all along, the frequency of your own true, essential nature, buried under years of conditioning and false belief. This leads you to the ultimate revelation of this entire journey. The universe you have been trying to send signals to is not outside of you. It is, and always has been, waiting patiently to be discovered within you. For this entire journey, we have operated on a useful and powerful metaphor. You, a broadcasting station, sending a clear signal out to a separate and receptive universe. This model has allowed us to understand the mechanics of creation, to tune our thoughts, and to master our emotions. But now, as we stand at the very summit of this understanding, we must be willing to let go of this final and most pervasive illusion, the illusion of separation itself. The ultimate revelation is not just that the universe is within you, but that the universe is you. There is no separation. There is no broadcaster and no receiver. There is only one, single, unified consciousness, and you are it. This is not a new or radical idea. It is the timeless, golden thread that runs through the heart of all the world's great mystical traditions. In the Hindu Vedas, it is the profound statement, Atman is Brahman, the individual soul is one and the same with the ultimate, universal reality. In Buddhist philosophy, it is the truth of non-duality, the understanding that the entire universe is a single, interdependent, and interconnected whole. In the quiet words of the Christian mystics, it is the recognition that the kingdom of God is within you. And now, in our modern era, the intuitive whispers of these ancient sages are being echoed by the startling discoveries of quantum physics. Physicists now speak of a quantum field, a single, indivisible field of pure potentiality, an invisible web of energy and information that underlies and connects everything in existence. From this perspective, you are not a separate object in the universe. You are a localized wave, a temporary pattern, a unique vibration of the universe. You are a way that the single, unified field is experiencing itself. This understanding transforms everything. The entire process of attracting a desire is reframed. You are not pulling something towards you from a distance. You are collapsing the illusion of distance itself. You are realizing that the love, the health, the abundance you seek is already a part of the unified field of which you are made. It is already within you as a potential. Your work has never been about creating these things, but about clearing away the static of your limiting beliefs and low-frequency conditioning so that you could allow your own, innate, and divine nature to emerge. Tuning your frequency is not an act of manipulating reality. It is an act of remembering your native frequency. It is a homecoming. The creative power you have been learning to wield was never something you had to acquire. It was your birthright. It was your essential nature that you simply learned to stop resisting. When you live from this state of unity, you are no longer a painter standing before a separate canvas. You realize you are the painter, the palette of infinite colors, the brush, and the canvas, all at once. There is no separation between the creator and the creation. There is a beautiful Hindu parable that tells of a time when all human beings were gods. But they so abused their divinity that Brahma, the chief god, decided to take it away and hide it where they would never find to it again. He called a council of the lesser gods to help him decide on a hiding place. "Let us bury it deep in the earth," said one god. But Brahma answered, "No, humanity will one day dig deep into the earth and find it." Another god suggested, "Let us sink their divinity in the deepest ocean." But Brahma replied, "No, for they will learn to dive into the ocean's depths and they will find it there too." A third god proposed, "Let's hide it on the peak of the highest mountain." Brahma again replied, "No, for they will eventually conquer every mountain and reclaim their divinity." After a long silence, Brahma realized the perfect solution. "I know where we will hide it," he said. "We will hide it deep inside humanity itself. It is the one place they will never think to look." And so, the story concludes, humanity has spent eons digging, climbing, diving, and exploring. We have searched for happiness in possessions, for fulfillment in achievements, and for love in other people, all the while carrying the entire treasure of the cosmos, the full power of our own divinity, silently within us. Your entire journey up to this point has been an archaeological dig into your own soul, uncovering the treasure that was always there. From this ultimate perspective, the question that began our journey, what signal are you sending to the universe, is finally answered with the most profound truth of all. There is no other universe to send a signal to. The signal and the receiver are one. You are not a human being having a temporary spiritual experience. You are a magnificent, spiritual, universal being having a temporary human experience. The joy you feel is the universe feeling joy. The love you express is the universe expressing love. The new reality you create is the universe creating a new aspect of itself. Your song is its song. Your dance is its dance. And so, we arrive at the end of this deep exploration, not with a final, complex technique to master, but with a final, liberating, and simple truth. The entire journey from the pain of disconnection to the mastery of frequency, from healing the wounds of the past to embodying the promise of the future, has been a grand, circular pilgrimage. A journey designed not to take you to a new destination, but to lead you, finally, back to the magnificent, divine, and infinitely powerful truth of who you have always, and eternally, been. We began this journey together in a place of static, turning a dial, feeling lost and disconnected from the clear, beautiful music of the life we longed for. We felt like victims of circumstance, shouting our desires into a silent, indifferent void. But along the way, we have made a series of profound discoveries. We learned that we are not just listeners, but powerful broadcasting stations, constantly sending our unique signal into a responsive universe. We uncovered that our thoughts are the architects of our reality, and our emotions are the energetic current that brings those blueprints to life. We gathered the sacred tools of mindfulness, gratitude, and visualization, learning to consciously choose our frequency. We found the courage to descend into our own shadows, to heal the wounds of the past and release the limiting beliefs that kept us small. And finally, after that long and transformative journey, we arrived at the ultimate realization that we were never separate from the universe at all. We are not just musicians in the cosmic orchestra, we are the entire symphony. The core message, the final and most liberating truth of this entire exploration, is this. Your power has never been in controlling the world outside of you. It has always been, and will always be, in your absolute mastery of the world within you. The goal was never to get the things you want in order to finally feel happy, peaceful, or abundant. The goal was always to learn how to generate the feelings of happiness, peace, and abundance first, thereby becoming a vibrational match for a reality where those qualities are reflected back to you in every way. Peace is not a destination you arrive at after all. Your problems are solved. It is a frequency you decide to inhabit in the midst of them. Joy is not a reward for your achievements. It is the high-frequency fuel for all magnificent creation. And abundance is not an amount in your bank account. It is the inner state of knowing your infinite, unshakable connection to the limitless source of all that is. Your inner state is the cause. Your outer life is the effect. And so, you stand now, not as a passive observer of your life, but as its sole and sovereign creator. You are not a leaf tossed on the winds of fate, you are the wind itself. The power to change your entire reality does not lie in some distant future, but in the choice you make in this very moment, in the thought you choose to think now, in the feeling you choose to cultivate now. The tuning dial is always in your hands, and it is always set to the present. The universe is not judging your song. It is a perfect, non-judgmental amplifier, simply playing your music back to you with flawless fidelity. From this moment forward, you are aware. You are empowered. You are free. The only question that remains is the one that you, and only you, can answer. What magnificent signal will you choose to send?